Part of the protections against denial of service attacks are built into the cloud infrastructure. The network, for example, uses software-defined networking, or SDN. Since there are no physical routers and no physical load balancers, there are no actual hardware interfaces that could be overloaded. There are also services that adapt to demand in intelligent ways, and you can use these in your design to afford further protection against overload attacks.
So how do we protect against denial of service? Well, there is some denial of service actually built in. Again, you got to put it behind a load balancer. There are secret things that we don't publish because for proprietary reasons, there is some things we can't keep transparent, but our abuse team is monitoring, has a lot of really cool things that protect once you're behind a load balancer. But the types of denial of services attack you can get may sometimes be indistinguishable from actual production traffic. So somebody could consume all of your bandwidth. They could explode and use all of the open connections. Maybe that might be API calls, sockets, open ports, or they might find actual exploits within the application itself. So cross-site scripting, memory buffer overruns, and all sorts of other different clever techniques. So all of these can be things can be used to deny your actual service from actually functioning. So how do we protect ourselves against the edge? Well, one, Cloud CDN, right? This way, if you're worried about bandwidth, we can cache a lot of the important content at the edge using Google Cloud CDN. You have to have a load balancer, so that's automatically going to get detect and drop connection termination. We're going to drop all UDP floods and also SYN floods. So if you're not familiar with all the networking protocols, so a SYN flood, basically when a TCP connection is being established, you have to send a synchronization, and then usually there's an acknowledgement and saying, okay, now we're ready to talk. Well, sometimes you can just say, hey, I want to synchronize. It's like somebody knocking on the door, but nobody ever answers, right? So you just keep pounding and pounding and pounding, and no other services can actually connect. So just kind of an oversimplistic explanation. So the network already protects against distributed denial of service attacks. So put that behind a load balancer. Also put it behind a firewall. So you want to filter any known bad traffic. Perhaps there are certain countries you know won't be using your service. You can block them and or different ports and protocols. We also have VM traffic throttling. So we only allow about 10 gigs of throughput per VM for ingress. You can do up to 16 gigs worth of throughput from a VM, but there's also built-in protections. So the Google network protects VMs against large-scale and sustained attack. So that is something of benefit. The real tricky one is the gradual increase of connections and bandwidth, etc., because that could just simply be natural traffic. Now the infrastructure, how do we protect against denial of service? If they get through everything else, this is why we have cloud load balancers and auto-scaling. At some point, you may need to absorb the attack. It may be for a brief period of time, but in this case, you can scale up, add more resources. You can also split it between different regions. If you're using a global load balancer, well, then we can split it up between different regions and send that traffic maybe closer. So let's just say, even as a denial of service attack, you have something coming from Asia and you're based in the US. You could literally spin up a region in Asia. This way, you could absorb that traffic. It doesn't head over the network as much, and that might help in actually absorbing that particular attack.